I don't know how much this you've got to do, and because I also
did that, and I think he only has a few more exhibits like that for it. We recognize they would have to be thinking about that. We were trying to make sure that they could see, and frankly, we're not quite used to the courtroom either, to be honest with you. So that was kind of part of it. And having to maneuver stuff so he could see it and how to get close. Normally, you get some closer to the jury, which obviously we're not able to do. You know, so that was kind of part of it, and frankly, that's on me. That wasn't on Mr. Chapin. That was kind of my suggestion. So, but I think we only have a few more to do like that, and we'll try to speed it up, or we can pass those out. You know, if that's okay.
All right. Anything else before we bring the jury in? I don't know if they're ready or not, and they all get questions. Any other matters?
There you are.
Check and see how they're doing. Tell them just knock when they're ready.
And I'm going to try to do them more in bulk because I think I was doing a little more individually at first, and maybe that will speed us up a little bit.
I'm not trying to control your presentation.
I understand.
Just was making that request or observation.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Your Honor. Special Agent Fullington, you remain at the oath. Where we last left off, we were discussing the Epsbridge Parkway, Windy Hill Court, Epsbridge Road location, where Deborah Lunkin reported the carjacking of her vehicle. And I was asking at that time if her vehicle was located thereafter.
Yes, it was.
And where was that vehicle located?
Located off of Airport Drive, which is just off of Winterville Road.
I'm going to show you State's Exhibits 18 through 21. I should take a look at States 18, 19, 20, and 21 and ask, and if you could please tell me if you recognize those items.
Yes, I do.
What is States 18?
18 is an aerial photograph of the road and map area of Winterville Road and Airport Drive, which runs off of Winterville Road.
And is that truly an accurate depict the area where Miss Deborah Lumpkin's car was recovered later on?
Yes, it does.
Okay. State's Exhibit 19, what does State's Exhibit 19 appear to be?
19 is just a blown-up version of State Exhibit 18.
And State's Exhibit 20 and 21, what are those?
20 is the same map that's in 18 and 19, but it doesn't have the photographs, doesn't have the trees. It's the same intersection area of Winterville Road and Airport Drive. And State Exhibit 21 is a blown-up version of State Exhibit 20.
Do States 18, 19, 20, and 21 truly and accurately depict the area of Airport Drive where Miss Deborah Lumpkin's vehicle was found back on March 22nd of 2011?
Yes, they do.
States would move to admit States Exhibits 18, 19, 20, and 21 at this time.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
They're admitted.
And Your Honor, we would ask to publish States 18 and 20 at this time.
Right.
Special Agent, I'm going to show you States Exhibit 18 and ask you to hand that back for you. If you could, with your laser pointer, highlight where Airport Drive is on that map.
This is Winterville Road. Airport Drive is hard to see with the trees, is right there, and it comes back into this area.
Okay. And obviously that appears to be a very wooded area on the map.
That is correct. There are a good bit of trees and woods along that road drive.
States Exhibit 20. That'll help see the roadway a little bit better.
Yes, this is a map without the photograph of the trees and stuff. This is Winterville Road. It's a little bit blurry there. And then this is Airport Drive that comes down off of Winterville Road.
This location of Airport Drive in this area contained in States Exhibits 18 and 20, located in Athens, Clark County?
Yes, it is.
On Friday, March 25th of 2011, did there begin to be information about Mr. Hood having, being located in Athens?
Yes, we did.
And was Mr. Hood ultimately located in Athens?
Yes, he was.
Where was he located?
He was located in a apartment an apartment at the intersection of Bowley Drive and Creekstone. I believe it was apartment 102.
At this time, I'm going to hand you a few more documents, a little bit larger than we've done before. I'm going to ask you to look at States Exhibits 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, and I believe 29. I'm gonna ask you to take a look at State's Exhibits 22, 24, 26, and 28. The 8.5 by 11 pieces of paper that we handed you. Do you recognize those items?
I do.
And what do those items appear to be?
22 is an aerial map, aerial view of Bowley Drive and the intersection of Creekstone Drive. And State Exhibit,
20, could you
that's
explain?
22.
Okay,
State Exhibit 23 is just a enlarged version of the same location.
okay,
State Exhibit number 24 is a map of the same area, aerial view, or a map of the same area without the trees and without the photography in it, that shows the intersection of Bowley Drive and Creekstone Drive. State Exhibit 25 is an enlarged version of that same map.
and do State's
State,
Exhibits, oh, I'm sorry.
State Exhibit 26, it's still an aerial view, or aerial map, aerial photograph of the area intersection of Bowley Drive and Creekstone Drive, but it's a little closer in. It's not as far back, so it shows a little more detail of that exact intersection, to include the apartment or the building with apartment 102 Creekstone located on it. State Exhibit 27 is an enlarged version of the same photograph, same area. And State Exhibit number 28 is again the same as State Exhibit number 26. It just it's not a photograph. It doesn't have the trees and stuff, but it shows the same close-in aerial view of Creekstone Drive and Bowley Drive with the apartment or the building of apartment 102 on it. And State Exhibit number 29 is the enlarged version of that.
And do State's Exhibits 23 through 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, and 29 truly and accurately depict the area of Creekstone Drive, 102 Creekstone Drive, where the defendant, Jamie Donnell Hood, was located on Friday, March 25th of 2011.
Yes, they do.
State would move to admit State's Exhibits 22 through 29 at this time.
Any objection?
No, sir, Your Honor.
22 through 29.
everyone should have 4, but I'll go through the 4, Your Honor, at this time, make sure. In State's Exhibit 22, can you tell us what State's Exhibit 22 is showing us?
This area here is Bowley Drive, and this is Creekstone Drive. This is the intersection of Bowley Drive and Creekstone Drive, and this is the apartment or the duplex that has 102, which is where Mr. Hood was located.
And in State's Exhibit 24, is that just the street map version of that?
That is correct. It's the street map version of the same. This is the Bowley Drive along here, and this is Creekstone Drive, and 102 would be located right there.
And I guess in the bottom right-hand corner, what street is kind of designated near the State's Exhibit, State 24?
Can you repeat?
What street is that in the right-hand corner?
This is Danielsville Road.
And State's Exhibit 26, what does State's Exhibit 26 appear to be?
This is a close-up version of the same, the map. It just zooms in a little closer to the intersection. This is Bowley Drive, and this is Creekstone Drive, and then this is the building where 102, apartment 102 is located.
And is that the building where Mr. Hood ultimately surrendered from on the night of March 25th, 2011?
Yes, it is.
And State 28, just the map of that same area?
Yes, this exhibit is the same thing, again, with Bowley Drive, Creekstone Drive, and the duplex that contains apartment 102 is right there.
In regards to the shooting of Tony Howard and Buddy Christian on March 22nd, 2011, what was the GBI's involvement in that case?
We were called in, well, first of all, if I may, the GBI is what we call a assist agency or assistance agency. We assist the areas, the law enforcement areas, with manpower, resources, investigative resources. On this particular incident, because it involved a law enforcement officer or an officer involved shooting, we were called in and requested by the chief of police, Chief Jack Lumpkin at the time, to be the lead agency and to lead the investigation into the shooting death of Officer Christian and the shooting of Officer Tony Howard.
And earlier you testified that you were the special agent in charge of Region 11, the Athens office. Does that mean that you're the lead investigator of that case, or what does that mean to the jury?
I am not the lead investigator. We, each office has a number of agents or investigators that work out of the office. I oversee and supervise the agents and supervise the cases that are being worked. In this particular case or instance, I'm one of the ones that kind of oversees the entire operation, helps provide the resources, call in additional resources as they are needed, to assign agents to do different tasks. The actual case agent, the individual agent that was assigned as the lead agent or case agent in this case was Agent Trent Hillsman.
And when you say you need to call in manpower, if you need agents to come help with interviews, are you the person that kind of calls in the agents to do that?
That is correct.
If you need people that are crime scene technicians for the GBI to call in to examine crime scenes, are you the person that does that?
Yes, and did so on this particular investigation.
Okay, and in this case, did you assign the case to Trent Hillsman to be the lead investigator for the shooting of Tony Howard and Buddy Christian?
Yes, I did.
Now, I want to take your attention to December 28th of 2010. Are you familiar with a shooting in Athens, Clark County involving a Kenneth Omari wreck?
Yes, I am.
And was your office involved in that investigation?
Yes, we were. We were requested by Athens, Clark County to assist in that murder investigation.
And who was the agent that was assigned to be the lead investigator for that case with the GBI?
Rebecca Shaw Harold, who was agent, who is agent out of the office. Another agent in the same office.
And where did that shooting occur?
It occurred at Mr. Ray's residence on Nottingham Drive. I believe it's 360 Nottingham Drive in Clark County.
And is that, you just said, is that here in Clark County?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to show you what will be marked as State's Exhibits 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, and 37, and ask if you can take a look at these. Have you had a chance to look at State's Exhibits 30 through 37?
Yes, I have.
And do you recognize what are State's Exhibits 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, and 37?
Yes, I do.
And what does State's Exhibits 30 and 31 depict?
30 and 31 are aerial views of a map or photographs of the aerial shots of Nottingham Drive. It shows 360 Nottingham Drive, which was the residence of Amari Ray, and depicts Overthorpe Avenue, which runs perpendicular to Nottingham Drive. State Exhibit 30, that's State Exhibit 30. 31 is an enlarged map of the same, or enlarged photograph of the same aerial view.
Are States 32 and 33 the same map, but without the topography, just the road map, as we've seen in the previous exhibits?
That is correct. State Exhibit 32 and 33 are the same areas that are just, do not have the photograph and do not have the trees and the houses in it.
States Exhibit 34 and 35, what are States Exhibit 34 and 35?
34 and 35 are more of a zoomed in or closer up version of the area on Nottingham Drive where 360 Nottingham Drive is located, and the residence, which is was the residence of Mr. Amari Ray, and 35 is a large portion or large picture of the same photograph and aerial view.
And what are States Exhibits 36 and 37?
They are the same as same area as 34 and 35, but again, they are not the photograph with the trees and the pictures is the same area on a map.
Do States Exhibit, thank you very much. What I want you to do is, and it might be helpful for you to step down to get closer to that map. And actually, I'm going to ask you to return to the stand so we can fix one thing real quick. Start those from the other end. That works better.
Motion to the jury 33, 37.
Yes, Your Honor.
Refuse.
And we're publishing 30, 32, 34, and 36. everyone should have four, but if you don't have four, we're about to display the four. Agent Fulton was display State's Exhibit 30, and if you could please kind of orient the jury to what we are looking at in State's Exhibit 30.
This is Oglethorpe Avenue in Athens, Clark County, and this is Nottingham that runs around this way. And 360 Nottingham is in the corner right there in that area.
And I'll show you State's Exhibit 32. Does that seem to be the street map showing that same area?
Yes, it is. Again, this is Oglethorpe Avenue in Nottingham. It goes around in circles, and Mr. Amari Ray's residence was 360 located there in the corner.
Show you State's Exhibit 34. Does that appear to be a close-up aerial view of that same area?
Yes, it does. This is Nottingham Drive, and 360 is in the corner there.
And State's Exhibit 36, that appeared to be a street map of that same area.
Yes, it is. Again, Nottingham Drive, and then the corner is 360 Nottingham.
Okay, thank you. Special Agent, we kind of asked you about individual locations throughout Athens. What I'm going to ask you to do is step down to State's Exhibit 1 to help me go through, kind of orient the jury to where those locations are in Athens, Clark County, specifically as regards to the map. First of all, can you kind of orient us, if you're coming into town from Alberton, Highway 72, and where that kind of comes out by Athens Tech?
This is Highway 72 coming in, joins with 29, and then this is the loop, as we call it, the 10 loop that runs around Athens, and then another landmark is Highway 78 that cuts through the middle of Athens and runs out toward it.
Okay. And I'm going to ask you if you could, I'm going to go back to State's Exhibit 2, and I don't need the lights, we're fine where we are. State's Exhibit 2, where we saw Rannoch Road and 100 Rannoch Road. I'm going to ask if you could take this red tack, if you come to me, and actually, let me give you a couple. If you could place a tack on State's Exhibit 1 where 100 Rannoch Road appears. Okay. And if I take the laser pointer, am I circling the right area that you just put the tag?
That's correct.
You told us about Mr. Brooks getting out, being able to get out of the vehicle at Winterville Road and Lexington Road. Can you please put, and I'm showing you State's Exhibit 6 in the aerial showing that location. Can you please place a tag for that same intersection on State's Exhibit 1 with a red tag? And am I now circling the area of the red tag where you put for that location of Winterville Road and Lexington Road, that intersection? All right, could you please place a tag at the location where the Cadillac and the Chevy Caprice were found? Okay.
This one is near the intersection of Inglewood and Little Oak, and that would be where the Cadillac was located. At the other end of Little Oak Street, there's an area
switch colors on you. I'm gonna switch to blue tacks now. And I'm gonna hand you these two blue tacks. Are you familiar with the McDonald's in Athens on the Atlanta Highway, West Broad Street by Alps? Could you please mark that location with a blue tack? And I'm going to circle that. Am I circling the blue tack? You put the location of the McDonald's on the Atlanta Highway by Alps?
Yes, you are.
Okay. What I want you to do next is take the second blue tack, and if you could please place that on the location on Sycamore Drive where the shootings of Tony Howard and Buddy Christian took place on March 22nd, 2011. Am I correct? Am I circling that location now with the red light?
Yes.
Is that the location of Sycamore Drive here in Athens, Park County?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I'm going to switch to green tags on you, if that's okay. If I can hand you these two green tags. Could you please place a green tag at the location that Deborah Lumpkin had her car, where she reported that the car was taken from her at gunpoint? And am I circling that area? Is that the area of Old Epsbridge Road, and Windy Hill?
That's correct.
Could you please place a green tack where Deborah Lumpkin's Chevy Prism was later located by law enforcement? And am I circling the green area where Miss Deborah Lumpkin's vehicle, Chevy Prism, was located later in the day on March 22nd, 2011 by law enforcement?
Airport Drive, that's correct.
And the red tack that's right above that, what is that?
That is 100 Rainick Road, which is where the kidnapping of John Brooks took place.
I now want you to place a tag for me. I'm switching colors on you again. I'm going to hand you one yellow tag. Could you please place a tag, the yellow tag, at the location where the defendant Jamie Donald Hood was located on March 25th, 2011 at Creekstone Drive? And am I now circling that area of 102 Creekstone Drive where Jamie Donald Hood surrendered to law enforcement on March 25th, 2011?
That's correct.
Now, unfortunately, tags only come in about 5 colors, so I'm going to hand you a white tag, which we'll see how that works. Could you please indicate on State Exhibit 1 with the white tag the residence of Kenneth Amari Ray, which is the location where he was shot and killed on December 28, 2010. And am I circling the white tag that you placed for the area of 360 Nottingham Drive, the location where Kenneth Amari Ray lived and was ultimately killed?
That is correct.
State would move to admit State's Exhibit 1 into evidence at this time, Your Honor.
Any objection? No, sir, Your Honor. One's admitted.
Those are the questions I have, Your Honor. Mr. Fulton, you can return to the stand for cross-examination.
Judge, you may cross-examine. Do you want the portable lectern, or do you want to do it from behind your table?
Afternoon, sir.
Afternoon.
For the circumstance, appreciate you being here.
Yes.
How did you
I was called by the district attorney.
So you called by the district attorney?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Do you have any written reports on this case?
I personally do, I don't recall me personally having any written summary on it. As the GBI officer, as GBI supervisor, approved the majority of the case file and the reports, but I personally did not write any summaries that I can recall.
Okay. Do you have any type recorded interviews or any type recorded notes on this case?
Me personally, I did not take any recordings that I recall.
Okay. Would you consider this case an important case?
Yes, sir, very important.
Very important. How many years have you been an agent, sir?
I was a GBI agent for 27, a little over 27 years, and have been in law enforcement just under 30 years.
Okay. Have you ever took written notes on any case? Have you ever took written notes before?
Yes, I have.
What's the purpose of you taking written notes?
When we do investigative actions with the GBI, we're required to document that activity either in written or type form. And throughout my years with GBI, I have completed many investigative summaries to document those actions.
You just stated that you required to take written reports and all that, correct?
That's correct.
And you will consider that this is a very important case, correct?
That is correct.
Or why you didn't put no written notes on the case?
Yeah. Me personally, I did not complete any specific investigative acts throughout. I was overseeing, supervising, coordinating the bulk of the activities that were being documented by numerous agents and other officers. And then I had the ultimate responsibility to review and approve the case file and the summary.
Okay. I think you misunderstood my question, sir. I asked you, why didn't you do it?
That's been asked and answered.
I,
I'm going to sustain that.
okay, okay. Now, you stated that it's required, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Well, what's the difference between this case and all the other cases that you took written reports on?
In the other cases that I've completed summaries, I did specific investigative acts. I interviewed someone, I went to a specific location and processed a vehicle or whatever the specific act was. In this particular case, again, there was a lot of activity and a lot of summaries, but I don't recall documenting any summary or doing any specific interview or specific investigative act.
So are you telling us, is it fair to say that you failed to do what you required on this case?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for speculation. Secondly, it's been asked and answered about how he reports, when he reported. So I think one's been covered, two is,
You want to respond to the objection?
Yes, sir. Judge, I have a right to a thorough sifting cross-examination. And the question that I am asking is relevant to this case.
And I'm going to sustain the objection.
Did you personally interview John Brooks?
I did not personally interview Jadon Brooks.
Why not?
At that time, we had other officers that were doing that. I was not part of the group or the officers that was doing the interviews of Mr. Brooks.
Okay. I heard you tell the jury several things about your John Brooks. So you told the jury those things without your first-hand information. Is that right?
That's correct. The information that I'm giving you is from my overview and supervision of the entire case and the case files, and of being on the scene. I've been to each location. I personally did not interview Mr. Brooks.
Okay. Did John Brooks call the police, correct?
That is correct.
Did you investigate Mr. Brooks' 911 call?
Again, I personally did not, but it has been documented and investigated.
Okay. Tell us why you did investigate Mr. Brooks' phone call. Tell us why you did not do that.
Reason I specifically did not, because that was not my role. There were other officers and agents that were taking care of those specific activities.
I heard you state some things about Mr. Omar Ray.
That's correct.
Did you do any interviews personally? Did you do any interviews pertaining to Mr. Omar Ray case?
I believe I did a couple of interviews, at least at a minimum, on that particular case, yes.
Okay, Could you tell us who you interviewed?
Right off the top of my head, I cannot without,
Why didn't you bring your notes in?
again, my portion, my part of the testimony and meeting with district attorney's office was to present the location of these activities and where they took place. Omari Ray investigation that was in December, I was also special agent in charge at that time, was part of the office and did assist in at least one, if not more, interviews on that case.
When you consider Mr. Omar Ray case really important,
Yes, sir.
and you tell us today you have no evidence to present to this jury here about Mr. Omar Ray,
No, sir, there is evidence to be presented about Mr. Omari Ray.
do you have it?
I personally do not have it at this time.
Okay, so
When I say me, I'm me personally. Other agents, other law enforcement is in possession of that.
did you know you were coming to court to testify today?
Yes, I did.
And this is a death syndicate.
Say that again.
And this is a death syndicate, right?
That's correct.
And you didn't bring no notes either, did you?
That's correct. I have not brought any to the stand with me.
Okay, is that ethical or you have something you want to hide?
No, sir, I don't have anything to hide.
Well, is it ethical then?
Yes, sir, I don't feel that I'm being unethical. I have reviewed my activities, reviewed my notes, reviewed the maps, and was prepared to testify today.
Okay, is it common practice when you prepare for a trial to have your notes
It is, yes,
for any trial?
that is correct.
And this is a real important case, when you agree,
Yes, it is.
and you fail to do your ethical duty, right? Is that safe to say that?
I do not feel that it's safe to say that. I have reviewed my notes. I have reviewed notes and summaries from this particular case. I have reviewed dates and addresses. I just do not have, I did not bring any notes with me to the stand, and any police reports I have were brought the day that I previewed. They were brought here to the courthouse.
Okay. Now, so are you telling the juror that you don't have no evidence to prove what everything you told them?
I'm telling you that at this present time, me personally, I do not have the photographs, I do not have the fingerprints, I do not have any specific summaries in my possession. There are other agents of the state that have that.
Well, how did the juror know you telling the truth if you ain't got no evidence to prove it?
Objection, Your Honor, it's argumentative.
Objection sustained.
I heard you make some statement about the police shooting incident.
About the what?
The police shooting incident on Sycamore Drive, I heard you talk about that too.
That's correct.
Do you have any evidence to show us about that police shooting?
I personally do not have that with me. There are other agents and officers that have that.
When you agree that the police shooting incident is real significant,
Yes, it's extremely significant.
and you don't have no evidence, you didn't bring it on a significant issue.
Again, I did not take any photographs. I did not complete any specific investigative acts. The agents that were there that did that took those and documented that activity, and they will have it, or they will bring it if they come. I did not complete any, so I did not bring them.
Did you do any investigation on Officer Tony Howard?
I personally did not know.
Why not?
Again, I was overseeing the entire operation, the entire investigation, and that was being done and conducted by other officers.
Do you know if the police patrol car had any cameras on?
Off the top of my head, I do not recall for sure.
Do you feel like that would be good evidence for that case, for this case, if cameras on the police car to take, or do you feel like that could be some good evidence for the jury to see for themselves?
Being not only a GBI agent, but working in local law enforcement with Winder Police Department, yes, it is good evidence if there are video cameras, if there are police cameras that capture information that aids to the investigations.
Why they put cameras on cars? Why?
Different places, I can't answer for everybody, but for the Winder Police Department, we put cameras on our cars to document the activity, to document the evidence, to document what takes place.
you don't recall even getting no evidence, such type of evidence in this case, is that what you're telling us?
I'm saying, I don't recall off the top of my head, there were multiple cars and multiple investigations, and multiple cars on this particular case, multiple investigations since. And there were some officers that did process the cars that can't answer that question. Off the top of my head, I don't recall for sure.
Well, why they bring you in, why did they make you their first witness? You can't recall that and you bring no evidence.
The district attorney asked me to come and testify to lay out the locations and to give the picture of where everything took place throughout this, the course of this investigation.
Did he tell you not to bring any evidence, or you forgot, or you just didn't want to do it? Which one?
I can answer that. He did not tell me not to bring anything. I did not forget. I reviewed the notes based on what I was aware of and familiar to testify with, and came and testified to that. Again, I specifically did not do any individual summaries myself, oversaw and supervised those agents that did.
So is it safe to say you can't prove anything you testified to on the day? Can you prove it today? Anything that you testified to today, do you have any way of proving it to the jury?
Me specifically, I can tell you that I'm familiar and I'm aware of this information that I'm testifying to. There are photographs and there's other proof that is not in my possession that is scheduled to be presented.
I think you misunderstood the question, sir. I asked not what photographs in the case. I said you. Do you have any evidence with you today to prove your testimony to the jury?
I do not have any evidence, physical evidence in my possession today other than what I can tell you from my position and my work.
How do you feel coming in a significant case unprepared? How do you feel about that?
That's not an appropriate question. That's argument.
You made reports about Ms. Deborah Lumpkin. I assume you don't have no reports about that either, do you?
That's correct. I specifically did not interview Ms. Lumpkin, and I did not do a summary on her. I have reviewed those police reports, and there are police reports documenting that. Yes.
As far as the Mr. Omar Ray case, do y'all have any physical evidence? Do you know of, because I assume you don't have no evidence. So did any of your agents tell you that they have any DNA, fingerprints, shoe prints, have anything that would prove Jamie Hood killed Mr. Ray?
Objection, Your Honor, argumentative.
Sustained.
What's his? If he know about the case,
Ask another question.
okay. Did anybody tell you they have any physical evidence on Jamie Hood that would link him to the Omar Ray crime?
Objection, Your Honor, it's hearsay.
I'm gonna respond to that.
Yeah, I feel like if he wanna object to hearsay, his whole testimony hearsay because he talked about something he ain't even got no evidence on. If I'm hearsay, he hearsay too.
I'm gonna sustain the objection. If you hear hearsay that you want to object to, I invite you to do
Well, I
that.
guess that's his whole testimony.
And Your Honor, I would disagree. We didn't use no one quoted anyone. What we did is we went through the scenes and told about where the scene locations were. No phrases were used, no quotes were used. It's not hearsay.
Yeah, I think that's
The objection, ask another question.
Creekstone. You don't have no reports on that, do you?
I personally did not do investigative report on the incident at Creekstone. I have reviewed and seen reports on it, yes.
Or did I have no further time, but I would like to call Mr. Fullerton back later.
That's, do you have a purpose?
Yeah, because I want to bring his agents in here. My whole problem on this case is people talking but don't want to show that. So if I don't listen to it, so.
That's all I need to hear. So, anything on redirect?
Special Agent Fullington, can you please tell the jury once again what your position was at the Georgia Bureau of Investigation in December of 2010 and March of 2011?
Both dates, I was special agent in charge of the regional office that covered 11 counties. I oversaw the agents, oversaw and approved their summaries, assigned agents to specific activities and actions, called in resources and additional resources when needed, was kind of a coordinator and support role for any major investigations. And then when there were other investigations that they went out and did, would review or approve those summaries and would assign agents to specific tasks.
And approximately how many agents were you supervising in March of 2011 as the special agent in charge of the Athens office? Approximately.
Approximately 5 special agents that did investigative acts and 2 crime scene specialists, or crime scene techs.
In this case, did you have to call in any additional support for the occurrences, the situations that occurred on March 22nd of 2011 to provide for that investigation?
Yes, specifically called for resources from our Region 8 office up in Cleveland, Georgia, our Region 7 office in Thompson, Georgia. We had agents that came from Atlanta, called for crime scene specialists from 2 other areas to come in and assist also.
So while this is going on, were you the one calling in all those people to get them on the field to do these investigations?
Some of the calls directly, some of it tasking it out to have somebody do it and help and coordinate to bring in the resources. Yes.
And is that what your part of this investigation was?
One of the main parts, yes, sir.
Okay. And did you assign those agents to do that investigation, and did they do it?
Yes, they did.
Those are all the questions I have. Thank you.
Sure, do you have any other questions this time?
But, Your Honor, I respectfully move that his entire testimony be stricken because he's specifically testifying about other officer reports, which is hearsay. I can't testify to something that someone else wrote, because that is hearsay. So I would respectfully move that his entire testimony be stricken.
That motion's denied. Do you have any other questions?
I just call him back later.
You may go down. Call your next witness.
Your Honor, the state calls Kevin McGreevy.
Ms. Davis, would you take that now from this board?
Mr. McGreevy, when you get up there and get situated, if you'll raise your right hand, please, sir. You swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
You put your hand down and you'll tell us your name and spell it for the court reporter, please.
My name is Kevin McGreevy. Last name is spelled M-C-G-R-E-E, V as in Victor, Y.
And Mr. McGreevy, where are you employed?
I work at the Athens Clark County Police Department in the 911 center.
And is that what most of us think of when we call it if there's an emergency? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes,
How long have you worked at the 911 center?
I've been there for 22 years.
Now, are you actually, in addition to that, a police officer that goes out and patrols and that kind of thing?
No.
What specifically do you do there at the 911 center?
My rank is communication supervisor, but my job assignment is communication training coordinator. So I'm in charge of all the training for new dispatchers coming in, the ongoing training of all the other dispatchers.
Are you what is referred to as post-certified?
I am.
Can you tell the jury what that means?
Sure. POST is an acronym. We love acronyms in law enforcement. It's Peace Officer Standards Training. It's the agency in the state of Georgia that certifies all police officers, sheriffs, deputies, communications officers, firefighters, basically all the public safety folks in the state. They maintain standards, making sure people get the training that they need. All communications officers are post-certified. I'm one of those.
And can you just tell the jury very briefly, what's your educational background?
I have a bachelor's degree in secondary education from UGA. I also have a bachelor's degree in newspapers, from UGA.
If you have a journalism type degree and an education degree, how did you wind up at the 911 Center?
Once I finished getting my degree in journalism at UGA, I realized I actually needed a job. And I was married and it was time to go find something. So I opened up the paper and I found the police department was hiring somebody for communications. I didn't know what that was at the time, but I'd been a military police officer. So I applied, figuring I can communicate, and that's when I found out I'd be working at 911.
All right. Now let's talk a little bit about the 911 system that we have here in Athens, Clark County. Excuse me, I'm sorry. First of all, by what means can a call come into that 911 center?
Okay, we receive calls from landlines, and when we receive a call on a landline, we get certain information that comes to us from the system. We also get calls from cell phones. We also get voice over internet protocol. If you have your phone through like your cable provider, something like that, it's called VoIP, VoIP, voice over internet protocol. We get those kinds of calls as well.
So basically, we receive all three.
Yes.
And is there any particular name or type of system for the type of 911 system that we have here in Athens, Clark County?
Sure. The 911, a brief history, very brief. 911 started back around 1968. 911 at that time, when it first began, when you called 911, it would simply transfer the caller to the nearest PSAP, PSAP, Public Safety Answering Point. Just think of it as like the nearest police department, fire station, whatever it happened to be. And that was good. That got everybody in contact with who they needed to talk to. Then, and that was phase one. I'm sorry, no, that was phase one. It was just 911. Then we got enhanced 911. If you ever drive into a county and you see a sign up that says E911, that means that that county has enhanced 911. It's not emergency, it's enhanced 911. And when you have that, the receiving PSAP, the dispatch center, like the one I work at, receives information from the carrier. So at that point, we get the name of the business or the person the phone is registered to, we get the address, we get the phone number, which is great, good information. We also receive calls through cell phones. And when cell phones came along, the FCC mandated to the cell phone providers that they had to give PSAPs, 911 centers, information. And this was phase one. With cell phones, we get the address of the tower that the signal is bouncing off of, we get the phone number, and we get the name of the provider, Metro, PCS, Singular, Verizon, whatever it happens to be. And we are now in phase two. Phase two, FCC mandated that the cell phone providers had to give PSAPs, location information. So now we get what we call XY coordinates, latitude and longitude, which we can import into our system to get an estimated location. Now, when the FCC mandated that the cell phone providers give us latitude, longitude information, they didn't mandate how they were to get that information. There are some providers who use triangulation, where they'll have 3 different towers set up, and the signal, they'll figure out where the call is based on how long the signal takes to hit tower A, tower B, tower C, and then they can figure out where the caller is. And that will give us a rough estimate of where the caller is. Some providers use GPS. Not everybody has a GPS-enabled phone, though. GPS is very accurate. The triangulation less so. So we don't know on our end how the cell phone provider is getting their location information. So we don't know if it's very accurate with the GPS. We don't know if it's coming to us from triangulation. So we always have to ask to find out where the caller is.
So even if you are getting that GPS information or that triangulation information, do the folks who are answering there at the 911 center always verify that verbally?
Certainly.
So they just ask, hey, where are you?
Yes.
Now, once a 911 operator does that, what happens on their end there at the 911 center?
Okay. In our center, the people who work there serve 2 main roles. We are dispatchers and we are call takers. Hopefully we're not doing both at the same time. Our call takers, when they receive the information, if it's a 911 call, They import that information from something we call the Annie-Alley screen, automated number information, automated location information. That's where it's showing us the address of the tower, if it's a cell phone, the address of the residence or business, and we import that into our computer system. We use a computer system, it's called Computer Aided Dispatch, and the acronym for that is CAD. And so if I refer to CAD, all I'm talking about is our computer system. So we import the 911 information into CAD, and if it's a cell phone, it will give us an estimated location. And if it's a landline, it will tell us where it is, but we'll still verify that. The call taker needs two things to create a call in CAD. We need to know where the problem is, and we need to know what the problem is. And with those two things, we can create the call in CAD, and then the call is sent to the appropriate dispatcher. Here in Clark County, we have divided the county into east side and west side. We have one dispatcher dealing with everything happening on the west and another dealing with everything happening on the east. The call will go to the appropriate dispatcher. The call taker can continue to ask questions, update information in the call, while the dispatcher is sending units out to resolve the issue. Other call takers, if they get calls about the same incident, can add information to the same call so that the dispatcher has only one place to look for information. Our officers have laptops in their cars, MDTs, mobile data terminals, and they can read information. They can see the information that we're typing into the CAD call, but we don't want them reading that information as they're going to the call. That would be dangerous. And that's why we have the dispatcher telling them the relevant information they need.
And when you say the dispatcher is telling them, by what means does that occur? How does the dispatcher communicate with the officers on the road?
By radio.
And is it common or uncommon for more than one individual to call into the 911 center about any given event, a fire or an automobile accident, whatever that might be?
It's really dependent on the type of incident and how public it is. I mean, if we have a grass fire, everybody driving by with a cell phone will call and tell us about it. But if it's something relatively private in nature, somebody broke into your house, you may be the only one knowing it, you'll be the only caller. But if we have something happening out in public, an accident, something like that, we may get multiple calls about that.
And you mentioned, if I understood you probably a minute ago, that these events or these calls can be combined into one event. Is there some one individual who has to make the decision to do that, or does a 911 operator do that?
If we have call A that's been created in reference to some kind of incident, and somebody else calls up about that, we have a second call, and the second call taker is talking to that person. We hope that that second call taker is going to see that first call, because we can see all the calls that have been created. But sometimes they don't, and they'll create a second call in the same area. The dispatcher can merge those two calls so that everything is then put into one call. Or if the second call taker realizes that they've created a second call unnecessarily, they can take steps and do the same thing. They'll just merge it, and all the information from the second call will be placed in the first.
Just a few more questions about that, Mr. McGreevy. So if, for example, you were to have an event that were ongoing for some time, would it be the policy of the 911 center to combine all calls that came in pertaining to that event into one big event for purposes of CAD and 911 ultimately?
No. If we have many multiple events that are related to each other, we aren't just going to make one big super CAD event, because there are certain aspects of any kind of incident that are going to be distinct. So we want, we're going to have things happening on the east side, on the west side. We also monitor the sheriff's office here in Clark County, and we deal with the fire department. And they may all have some kind of response, so we'll have separate calls for each of those.
When people do call into the 911 center, are those phone calls recorded in some way?
Yes, we record all phone calls that come in. We record all of our radio traffic.
And once those calls have occurred and that radio traffic has occurred, do y'all maintain those recordings?
We do.
Excuse me, and over a period of time of some length, I take it?
Yes.
And do y'all maintain those recordings in the ordinary course of your business? Is that something that you do all the time for every call?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that on tape, CD, digital? You tell us, by what means do you maintain those?
We currently store everything simply on a computer server. A computer server is just like in an enormous hard drive. So we can just store everything directly to the server and save it there. In the past, we've used different technologies as technologies have changed. Back in 2011, we were storing everything on DVDs. Prior to that, we stored things on something called a DAT tape, which is about that big. When I first started, we were using reel-to-reel tapes back in the day.
But specifically in March of 2011, you mentioned, I think you said y'all maintain this on DVDs.
Yes, ma'am.
And were those DVDs that you could go back later, for example, pull up and reproduce digitally, and you call it to come in pertaining to any one event?
Yes, ma'am.
And as of March of 2011, for what time period did you typically maintain those digital recordings?
Indefinitely.
And was it part of your job in the ordinary course of your business to maintain those records of the 911 calls that came into the Athens Park County Dispatch Center?
Yes, ma'am. One of my sort of ancillary duties, one of my extra duties, in addition to doing training, is I coordinate the creation of recordings. I sort of oversee the recording system, add new users, take off users, teach people how to use it. I don't make every single recording, so I will farm that out to other people who work in the dispatch center and have them do it. We get requests from defense attorneys, prosecutors, open records requests. It's all public record, so if somebody wants some audio, they can ask us for it, and we'll pull that for them.
And when you say that you'll pull it for them, or maybe get a request from a prosecuting agency or someone else, by what means do you search and look for those things? How do you index that?
Okay, we have a computer interface with its program. Basically, we can tell the system that everything's stored in CAD. So if you give me a case number, if you tell me something happened, an accident happened on, July 3rd of last year, I can go back, look in CAD for an accident on July 3rd of last year and find out what time it happened, where it happened, stuff like that. And so I can go back into the recording system and set parameters for my search, saying I want to look at everything on July 3rd, between this time and that time, and then I can also set it for what channels I want to listen to, because we record all phones, we record all of our radio, so I'll tell it I want to listen to all the phone calls if that's all I'm looking for. If I'm looking for all radio traffic that's relevant to it, then I would include that particular channel in my search.
Okay. And at some point prior to today, did you receive a request to search your 911 records under those indexes for an event pertaining to, an event that occurred over on Lexington Road near Pittman Tire, where some folks observed some unusual things in that area?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And did you in fact perform that search?
Yes.
Were you able to locate any such calls or dispatch records pertaining to some unusual events that were observed in that area?
Yes, ma'am.
And did those events happen on March 22nd, 2011?
They did.
Was that in the early afternoon?
Yes,
And did you produce those records to our office at some time in the past?
I have.
By what means did you make a copy of or digitally reproduce those records, just so the jury knows?
I burned them on a CD.
Was that from the records that you had maintained of
Yes.
911 calls?
Yes, ma'am.
And have you had occasion to review that disc prior to coming to court today?
Yes, I have.
And do the records contained on that disc, have they been altered or changed or deleted in any way?
No.
Do they truly and accurately portray what transpired at the 911 center on the afternoon of March 22nd, 2011?
Yes.
And Your Honor, we would move to tender a disc that Mr. Greavy has in his possession, that we would like to mark as states exhibit number 38. We're happy to let Mr. Bill look at that first if he would like to do so.
Any objection? No,
read on it, and just for the court's information in terms of breaks and that type of thing, it's about 10 minutes, it's not incredibly long.
Press the button, it's the third one on the left, it says lectern laptop, please.
And what else?
That should be it. The,
I have two buttons here, and I can't.
send to all.
Okay. It's not staying lit.
That's okay. As long as lectern laptop is pressed, that should be.
All right.
Okay.
County number one. Yeah, man, I'm up here, Lexington and, Woodbury Road. We have to see a guy jump out of a truck of a Cadillac. He was tied up with his pants down. He jumped out the car.
He jumped out of the car and what did he have?
He was tied up.
Okay, can you still see the guy?
No, when he jumped out of the truck of the car, the Cadillac took off. He had to reach.
Okay, where's this guy now?
The guy was here up there at the restaurant station over at the light. I guess he goes to the police station. Have we ever called you out here about it?
No, sir. Is this a white guy or a black guy?
There's a black guy, the old black guy. He jumped out the car with people. He was tied up, and he was tied up. And the car, he got on the bypass, like going toward Commerce.
Okay, and he jumped out of what kind of car?
A Cadillac, kind of like a beige looking Cadillac. The trunk was popping up and down. He tore the trunk up. I mean,
Sir, which way did the vehicle go?
it went, he got on the exit, they going towards Commerce. And the trunk won't shit, cause he tore the trunk up, kicking it.
Right. So he jumped out of the trunk, you think?
Yes, sir. With his hands packed up, with white rope.
Okay, stay with me another second, please.
All right.
Can you meet with an officer and tell him what you saw, please?
Well, I went on back, I kept on going.
Yes, sir. But if you're the only person that saw this, you may be the only person that can help us.
Well, there's some more people saw it too, I thought they had called in.
But nobody else has called in.
Okay.
Can you meet with the officer, please?
Well, I'm out of reach right now.
How are you out of reach?
I'm up here at, Hallmark Mobile Home Park.
You can't go back?
Well, can y'all come here, cause I'm working it, and I'll get a call in.
But sir, what I'm saying is that this is kind of an emergency. It sounds like it's an emergency.
All right, but he's in the car with somebody else now.
Who's in the car with somebody else?
The guy that jumped out the trunk of the car, he got in the car with somebody else.
Okay, what kind of car did he get into?
He got in a brown Oldsmobile, about a 91 model.
And which way did that go?
They coming to our police station.
Do you know if that driver was white guy or black guy?
Black guy. But I don't know who driving the Cadillac. I don't know whether he's white or black. and the window was hit. How long ago would you say this was? A few minutes ago. Was it right after you called me? Or right before you called me, I mean? Right after, well, right before I called you, I was coming across the light and I saw it. Okay, sir, what's your name? Willie Jordan. Where are you right now? Or where do you want to meet with the officer? At Hallmark Mobile Park, the office at Hallmark, 705 Playback Road. Or, okay. We'll have someone check the area, and then most likely someone's gonna come by or call you, okay? Okay. Thank you. All right. I had a call. All right. Yeah. Hey, how you doing? Hey, I'd like to report a kidnapping, a carjacking, and a wall robbery.
Okay, where are you at?
Luckily, I jumped out the boot of the car. Did they hit me in the boot of the
You
car?
got to let me know where you are, sir.
You know the Pittman Tie Shop is?
So where?
Pittman's Tie Shop. Right across the street from car like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna meet y'all there right there. That's where it happened there, but that's what happened. My friends don't have to be right beside us when I jump out the boot. And I still got on everything. They all got me and everything. And I know exactly who running the dudes there. I don't know who the rest of them are. They had teammates on. Hey man, Jamie.
Let me know what happened, sir. What's your name?
My name is Judith Brooks. J-U-D-O-N-B-R-O-O-K-S.
Jadon Brooks?
Yeah.
You was carjacked?
Yeah, they took my car. They,
What kind of vehicle do you have?
35 Chevrolet Caprice convertible, cream color. They probably gonna burn up or something. When I jumped out, the car was following.
You said it was cream in color?
Like hands in color. Cream color convertible. The dude driving around there, yeah. What you just gonna do, man?
Which way did it go from Pittman Tire?
He went to the right, they went to the right going to it, what the tree they went on? They go to it, they took the right.
Off the Winterville Road?
They went on College Street, I came from Winterville Road.
Okay, they went towards the street towards downtown?
I'm gonna make it on the highway going toward the left, I bet.
Okay, but you didn't see them go that way though, did you?
I think we're trying to go on the road, like I said, toward, College Street.
Okay, what's the taxi or vehicle, do you know?
I had to call my girlfriend, they took my phone too.
They took your phone, okay.
They took my shoes, my phone, they took.
How long ago did this happen, sir?
It just happened.
Okay, all right, now tell me this, sir. Okay, so you don't know the taxi or vehicle?
No, sir, no, I had to call my old lady that her name.
Did she know the tag? She there with you?
No, she not, I haven't even called her, 'cause I ain't got my phone.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, that's fine, sir. Okay, so are you at the Pittman Tire Shop now?
I'm gonna go back there, we went by the middle school with, Patty Gill. My friends and they come get you the white folk. And if I'm here, they say, I do it. Everybody pick the time.
Hold on, sir. Hold on 1 minute. Okay, sir, you gotta let me know where you gonna meet with the officers at, because they're already on the way, they're on the way looking for, what happened, you know, looking for that car, and they're gonna be looking to meet with you, but you're not where you say you were.
I'm going to leave on Patty Gill Middle School now.
Okay, where are you gonna meet with the officers?
Right there where they have to get my pigment time.
How long is it gonna take you to get there?
We're gonna get 5 minutes, and she couldn't look at white, she wouldn't get the school.
Hold on, sir.
number one Cadillac DeVille. Say it in the color.
You was in a trunk.
Yeah, I jumped out the trunk. Let them take me somewhere. But I parked the trunk while I was in the boot of the car. I got the tire on wrong there. I got my hand out of one of them, and I popped the boot, and as soon as the car stopped, I just jumped out the boot. And my convertible was behind me like they were wondering, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
We get it back up in there, I think we don't do that right there with speed. Yeah, the payment car, all the thing, when I jumped out the boot, and everything.
Did they put you in the trunk of their car?
Yeah, they
Of your car?
They want me to put their car in.
What kind of car were they in?
They were in a Cadillac DeVille, Cadillac DeVille, 2001 model. They came and covered. I know the dude personally, they were crazy about it.
What's the person's name?
Jamie Hood. Jamie Hood.
And how many people was with him? They were all black, or what colors were they? What race were they?
Black, but they had on the other three, the other four had on ski mask.
What would the ski mask look like?
One of them was black and two of them was white. Like white t-shirt tied on my head. And the dude Jamie had leather on his head. He didn't want to treat me over there.
Okay, so where are you at now?
I'm going to do this car shop before it happened.
Okay, where are you at now, though?
Right here, we on Whitney Street, man. We got Grove Town Light and we come up there, what is it, car garden and all that right there.
Y'all just have the car down?
We're going to be back in car garden.
The officers are gonna need y'all to stop. I need you to stop the vehicle.
Oh, they're pulling, man, they're supposed to be right there, it's supposed to be behind us. There's a police officer right behind us.
I want you to stop and let them know where you are, because they're looking for you. They don't wanna wait till you get to sit in time. They wanna talk to you now. It occurred at Pigment, where did it occur at, sir? Pigment Tire?
It's a red light right by Pigment Tire. It's a red light, soon as car stopped, I jumped out the booth.
Okay, all right, now where are y'all stopped at?
Right in the neighborhood of Georgetown Court.
Where are you at? In Georgetown?
Yeah.
Huh?
I'm on the phone with the lady now. Then I'm not talking to a car, tell the police officer.
All right, okay, thank you.
Mr. McGregor, I have just a few more questions for you. From the records that you produced in response to a request pertaining to this incident, are you able to determine the time at which each of those two phone calls came into the 911 center on that date?
Yeah, it's included on that CD. Each of those tracks, individual tracks, has a text file attached to it, which has the time.
Okay. As you sit up on the stand, do you have anything with you that you can tell us?
I have the CAD printout, but that will have the exact time of each particular track.
From the CAD printout, are you able to give us an approximate time?
Yeah, 12:53.
Thank you. And what about the second call?
13:02.
Just for those of us who don't do well. with
Oh, I'm
military.
sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's military time, so 2 after 1 in the afternoon.
Thank
1:02.
you. So not quite 10 minutes apart or
Yes.
approximately. Thank you. And then just a few more questions, Mr. McGrady. As we listen to 911 calls here in the court here today, sometimes there are spaces of a few seconds between what you and I are referring to as tracks. First of all, can you explain to the jury what we mean when we use the word track pertaining to these recorded conversations, and then why there are spaces in between them, please?
Sure. Our recording system is set up to be voice activated, so that it doesn't waste space recording nothing. If it doesn't hear anything, it stops recording, and as soon as it hears something, it's voice activated, it's noise activated, so it will start recording again. So if we might have a phone call that is 4 minutes long, and it's broken up into 8 or 9 tracks because there are pauses more than 3 or 4 seconds long, and the recording system will just sort of stop right there, and as soon as it hears something again, it will start recording again. What happened making this recording is, we have multiple tracks just for the separate phone calls.
Thank you. Now, just a few more questions for you about, we talked about a little bit earlier about radio and dispatch, you recall that? Does all of Athens, Clark County function or operate day-to-day on one radio frequency, or are there multiple frequencies?
We have multiple radio frequencies. We have, for the police officers on the east side, we have PD East. We have PD West for all the officers on the west side. We have multiple auxiliary channels for that. For the PD side, police department, the sheriff's office, they have SO Maine, Sheriff's Office Maine that they normally talk on. But they have multiple auxiliary channels they can talk to. Same for the fire department. And then we have multiple channels just for anybody else who's on our radio system in the government. We don't record all of those, but we record the public safety ones.
If an officer is in his or her police vehicle, can he or she hear the transmissions over the radio, actually over a radio that's physically in the car, or is it over something that he or she carries? Tell us that, first of all.
Well, police officers in the car, they have their car radio and they can listen to the channels. If you have an east side officer, they should be listening to the east side radio traffic, but they can scan. They can also listen to the west side and find out what's going on over there. When they get out of the car, they have portable radios and they can listen to radio traffic on those.
And you just mentioned one of my last questions. You mentioned that, for example, someone on the east side should typically be listening to east side traffic. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And just very briefly, why would that be so the jury understands?
An officer who is on the east side, we want them listening to the east side radio traffic so that if there's an incident occurring in their vicinity, they can respond to it.
And would the same pertain to someone on the west side listening?
Certainly.
May officers on the east side, for example, switch to west side if they either need or want to do so?
They certainly can.
Are there times at which, during certain events, they may be requested to do so or even ordered to do so?
Sure. There's sometimes, if there's something going on one side of town and they're being asked to do something on their side of town in reference to that, maybe go check a location, they may switch over to get firsthand knowledge rather than having that information relayed through the dispatcher.
Just one moment, please. And is any individual officer in his or her vehicle able to monitor both of those bands at the same time, meaning east side and west side at the same time?
I believe they can, yes. Scanning is what.
And of course, you in the dispatch center can, I assume.
Sure.
Thank you. Just one moment. Thank you, Mr. McGreevy. I don't have any further questions for you. Mr. Hood may have some questions for you. Your Honor, if I may hand this to someone to give to Ms. Evans so that I do not misplace the exhibit. Thank you.
Afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
That dish she just played, that one, that is more, is it more information on that dish that she just played?
No.
So you saying ain't no more, you said that you retrieved the 911 call March 22nd, 2011, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, what I just heard, I got a copy from the prosecutor in my discovery. And I have way more than that about that 911 call, sir. And I got the CD. And I wanna show you that there's more than what they just played to the jury on that particular segment that y'all just played. I got it right here.
I'm going to object to the form of that, Your Honor. I don't think that's in the form of a question.
Okay, I understand. Are you telling us right now, what she just played you is all the information that you had on this Jadon Brook calling 911? Is that what you telling us right now?
The only information on that CD that I brought and made at the direction of the district attorney's office are the 2 phone calls. There's no radio traffic, there's nothing else. They asked me to create a CD. It was simply those 2 phone calls. That's all that is on that CD.
Okay, how would you feel if I could tell you I have a CD record of pertaining to March 22nd, 2011, pertaining to this case?
I'm gonna object to the form of the question. I would just ask him to clarify what he means when he says this case.
Okay. You stated that you can go back to March 22nd, 2011 and retrieve information of 911, people who call 911. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay. Now, you stated that you went back and you got CDs from March 22nd, 2011 radio traffic. Is that correct?
there were also CDs made with radio traffic. That's not what was on the CD that I brought to court with me today.
Okay. How many CDs, radio traffic phone or phone call, did you personally record or make CDs of?
I think that the master file has 6.
6. Now, the CD that you brought today concerning Mr. John Brooks, who called 911, do you have any other CD with more information about Jadon Brooks and the radio calls to 911?
Are you asking if there's I'm just want to be clear, you want to know if we have records with radio traffic?
Yeah, I mean, let me make it simple for you. The 911 information that Jadon Brooks called and told to the dispatcher, what she do with it? Explain that process. When he called and he reported what he reported, what did your 911 operator do with that information?
She created a CAD event.
Okay. Did she relay that information to any officers on the road?
Certainly.
Okay. Did the information that your 911 dispatcher relayed concerning Jadon Brooks, you said she relayed the information to officers, which would be radio traffic, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, do you have the CD with their radio traffic on it?
No, I was not asked to bring that.
Okay, but is it in the file?
Yes,
Why didn't you bring that forward?
I wasn't asked to bring it.
Okay, well, who told you to bring it?
The DA's office asked me to bring it.
So is it safe to say they don't want the jury to hear all the information pertaining to that call?
Your Honor, I'm gonna object to the form of that question.
I think it's a relevant question. I mean,
I don't think Mr. McGreevy can answer questions as to why we made certain trial strategy decisions. I don't think it's appropriate to ask him.
Sustain the objection.
well, Judge, he testified with the 911, he testified to how they retrieve information, how they record information.
Sustain the objection, just ask.
So, you would agree that there are more information pertaining to that 911 call concerning Jadon Brooks?
Are you asking whether there's radio traffic in reference to it?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So, the radio traffic and Jadon Brooks 911 phone call is on the CD somewhere.
It's stored, yes, we have that.
Okay. I have a copy of it. Could I play some of it for you and see can you identify some of the information that's on there?
If you want to play it, that's up to you.
Judge, if Mr. Hood wishes to play it and he lays the proper foundation, we certainly have no objection.
Now, you stated that it's 911 radio traffic along with that 911 call. Is that correct?
On the CDs that I created in the past, we have radio traffic and phone calls which are intermixed. You may have part of a phone call, and then there'll be a bit of radio traffic, and then the phone call resumes because it's all occurring simultaneously. So what I brought today was from the first CD, and what was played were tracks 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, 9, 11, and 19.
But you did state that all 911 phone calls and all radio traffic is stored and is recorded and stored. Is that correct?
Yes?
All of it. One second, sir.
past, I was requested to make the recordings for the incidents, and I did so. With all of the phone calls, all of the radio traffic, there was a lot of phone calls, there were a lot of radio traffic, phone calls coming in that weren't 911 calls reporting the incident. All of that was recorded. What was played today was from the first CD. I think I ended up making 6 CDs with about 99 to 100 tracks on each one. What was played today was from the first CD, and it was just the 911 calls. That's what I was asked to bring to court by the DA's office, with tracks 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, 9, 11, and 19, which just covers the 911 calls. The other tracks, 3, 5, 8, 10, all the rest of those that are not on the CD played today, it was radio traffic.
Sir, you said that you made 6 discs.
I think so.
You made 6 discs. Can you recall everything on them 6 discs?
No.
Well, Judge, if it please the court, I would like to refresh your memory on some things of the discs that he provided for this case.
Well, how do you propose to do that?
Well, I have the disc. I got them out of discovery. I got 911 calls. I'm gonna play the same exact thing they played, but much more. I have much more
I
on
would
the disc.
suggest you ask him a question and see if he needs to refresh his memory.
Okay. Well, you said you stated that you created 6 discs that you turned over on this case. Okay. Do you know what the operator, the dispatcher relayed to the police officer concerning Jadon Brooks' phone call?
No, I didn't listen to the radio traffic.
Okay. Why not?
I wasn't asked to. I have other duties to accomplish during the day.
Well, how did you come up with the ones you had today?
They asked me to pull the 911 calls that were in reference to that incident.
So they didn't even ask you to see what the dispatcher relayed to the officer concerning Jadon Brooks' call? Is that what you felt that?
That's correct.
Would you consider this case important?
Sure.
Okay. Would you consider the information that the 911 dispatcher relayed to the police officer pertaining to Jadon Brooks' phone call would be important?
Your Honor, I would object to the form of that question. Mr. Rodriguez testified that he did not review that information and don't think he would be in a capacity in a position to make a determination of whether it's important or not.
It's relevant because what I'm trying to do is show that it's 911, they plan.
But the objection is based on if he hasn't heard it, and he can't know if it was important or not.
Okay, I understand.
It's
Important.
sustained
Okay,
objection.
I understand. But you would agree there are 911 traffic relayed by dispatch to the officer on the street pertaining to John Brooks' call. When you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. Is it normal practice for the 911 dispatcher to relay any call such as that to the officer on the street?
Yes.
Okay. Would it be normal practice for y'all to investigate the whole entire CD instead of just maybe 5 or 6 pieces of it?
Object to the form of that question, Your Honor. I think Mr. Rodriguez used the word investigate. I don't believe Mr. Rodriguez testified that he was here to investigate the capacity.
I like to hear, I think he did investigate, he knew the report on.
Overrule the objection,
Okay, thank you.
if you can answer.
Could you answer the question, please, sir?
Could you rephrase that, please?
Okay. Is it normal practice for you to investigate all 911 call information relayed by the dispatcher to the officer on the street pertaining to 911 call?
I am not an investigator.
Okay, well, if you're not an investigator, how did you know to investigate the portion of the CD that you played for the jury?
They asked me to get the 911 calls. That's what I did.
When you called in investigating, you had to go look at them and pull them out and put on the CD?
No, I would not call that
What
investigating.
would you call it?
Record retrieval.
Okay, did you do any record retrieval pertaining to the dispatcher, information related to the police officer pertaining to Jadon Brooks?
No.
Is it normal practice for you to do any record retrieval? The information that 911 dispatcher related to the officer pertaining to a phone call to 911.
specifically I'm looking for this type of information. That's the information I go and look for. Because I have other things to accomplish during the day, I don't spend other time listening to things that might be related to it that are not specific to what I've been requested to do, because I have other duties and things to accomplish. So when the DA's office asked me to pull the 911 calls in reference to the incident involving Mr. Brooks, that's what I did. And I didn't listen to the radio traffic. I pulled up the audio long enough to recognize that's radio traffic. It's not germane. It's not relevant to the request. So I didn't listen to any more of that. And then I found the phone calls, and I burned all those to a CD. I didn't bother listening to the radio traffic. Nobody had asked me to.
Okay. But you would agree there are more radio traffic on that CD pertaining to John Brooklyn, isn't it?
On the CD that I brought, there were only the phone calls. There exists a record with all of the radio traffic and all of the phone calls. I was not asked to bring all of that, but it certainly exists.
On the 6 CDs that you recorded, or you got off 911 in 2011, is it safe to say there are more on them CDs than what you just played today for us?
There is certainly very, very much more.
Okay. So you did not play all the information pertaining to that 911 call, the radio traffic on March 22nd, 2011. Isn't that correct?
Mr. That's been asked and answered.
Sir, is it a crime to call 911 and give false information?
I don't know. No, I mean, certainly it happens all the time. People lie to me constantly.
I asked you, you said you go to 911. What you say your position is out there?
I'm the communications training coordinator.
So you high up that ladder then?
I'm a supervisor.
Or you the supervisor, you telling them you don't know if it's a crime to call 911 and give false information?
Well, if you're talking about giving false information, filing a false police report, that's a separate matter. That is not the same thing as just calling up and speaking to one of our call takers and giving them false information. But if you were to file a report, attest that the information was correct, and lie about that, that would be filing a false police report. But I've never heard of lying to 911 as some sort of misdemeanor or felony. I've never heard that prosecuted.
Did you ever bother to look?
No.
Why not? You supervisor.
Never really came up.
But you the supervisor. If the supervisor, you're supposed to know all the rules and regulations to relate the information to your employees, isn't that right?
And I just told you it's not against the law.
I understand that. But how do you know if it's not against the law if you ain't never looked at it?
I've done this for 22 years. If it was against the law to lie to a 911 call taker, I think it would have come to my attention by this time.
Yeah, I would agree if you had a look and brought it to your attention.
That's not a question.
Okay. Okay. So you said how many years you been doing this?
22.
22 years, and you never bothered to see the protocol concerning the false information on 911 call.
Yeah, I think this has been asked and answered.
Sustained, okay.
No further questions, sir.
Would you write?
Yes, sir. Please, Your Honor. Mr. McGreevy, you've made some mention of having produced probably 6 discs. It may be slightly different than that. Do you recall having said that?
Yes.
When you say that you produced 6 discs, did each and every one of those 6 or so discs pertain to this incident where we've heard the 911 call today, the event that happened over in the area of Pittman Tire?
No.
Were there more than one additional event, or just one additional event, or approximately how many additional events? To the best of your recollection.
There were multiple events.
Okay, okay. And do you openly concede there is additional radio traffic pertaining to Mr. Brooks's event?
Certainly.
And do you concede there are additional all the events that which we're here to address in the whole of this case, is that correct?
That is correct.
Did you prepare the entirety of 911 calls pertaining to the events that happened in the area of Pittman on March 22nd, 2011, in accordance with what you're requested to do here today?
Yes,
Do you anticipate coming back to testify about other issues?
possibly.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No, sir. No, sir.
All right, I'm gonna go down. We're gonna take a 10-minute recess. Adjourn our turn.